after the session with anyone that might miss it today. So I'll just basically pass over to Peter Newton, who's will introduce you to his understanding of Evvnt, and he's been with us for the last 4 months. Peter.
Thanks, Richard, and hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Hello to all of you. As Richard mentioned, I'm Peter Newton. I'm the board chair of Evvnt. I'll echo Richard's thanks to all of you for joining us today. We've got an hour planned, a little less than that now. We'll make sure we're judicious with your time. For those of you who are investors with Evvnt, too, we're grateful for your past support. You'll hear today that your belief in us is paying off, and we're on the verge, or really the cusp, of some much bigger things that Richard alluded to. So in a few minutes, I'll turn it back to Richard. Richard, as most of you know, probably everybody, is Evvnt's founder and CEO. He'll walk us through our vision and strategy for the business, where we are today, where we're heading. And Richard, to his credit, has been masterful, in my opinion, in bringing Evvnt to this point. He's really smartly and prudently, and that's important, led the business, managed capital very well in that process. We're in a position now to emerge stronger than ever as the world reopens, and we know that's going to be slow and a bit unpredictable. But we're poised for that because of that leadership and that vision. So before Richard talks us through the slides that we have here, I just want to touch on a few points, an update on the company, and outline at a high level a unique opportunity that we all have. So to take a step back for a minute, and again, some of you know this, but Evvnt participated in a tech innovation program with PwC in the UK in 2017 and 18. So roughly 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. As part of that process, Evvnt received a $12 million valuation for the company from PwC in 2018. When you look back on the strategy that was laid out then, and I've done that, probably some of you are familiar with that, you see that Richard and the team have nailed the execution on all key elements. It's really impressive. There's been very successful expansion into the United States, which was just a fundamental of that strategy. In that, there's now a partnership, and this is very recent, within the past month, a partnership with the largest local media company in the US, that's Gannett, and hundreds of others. There's a robust pipeline that I now have very good visibility into and help contribute to of new partner prospects. There's a strategic alliance that was announced a couple of months ago. That's with the largest provider of content management systems to local media. That includes newspapers, also includes TV stations, radio, online only publishers. That's a company called Town News that has 2,000 publisher customers. And we're now getting an event calendar and platform into all of those 2,000 publishers. There is an effective and highly used self-transact platform for event organizers to promote. Richard will show that and highlight that in a minute. But as an example, a local comedy club that comes to one of our partner websites enters all the event info for free, but then buys advertising to promote their event on their own time, using a credit card without talking to anybody. We have thousands of customers like that. That's a beautiful thing. Very powerful foundation on which to build. There's also a strategic alliance that was formed, and this is foreshadowing here, but with a leading ticketing platform. That was GeoTix, and we've learned a lot about ticketing in that relationship. So in terms of our business today and where we stand and how that COVID-19 has impacted, through February, our consolidated business in the US and the UK was on track, really on plan to achieve about a $4 million annualized revenue exiting 2020. We're on a great upward swing there. Clearly, COVID-19 has impacted that. So the revenue will be less than initially planned for 2020, but we're starting to see things come back now. It'll have some impact in 2021 as well, but the long-term outlook that we have remains the same. And that brings us to today and this call here. We've laid the foundation for a new growth phase. And to tap a phrase that I've used in the past, but I did not invent it, it's in sales strategy. We've earned, or really Evvnt has earned the right to advance. We're excited about the overall business despite COVID-19, but we're especially energized about the opportunity that we have now to infuse ticketing or ticketing services into our proven event marketing platform. In the marketing world, that's referred to as closing the loop. When you can see how a customer, an event organizer, and their marketing results in a ticket purchase. So we can demonstrate the value to the customer. We can show them that their marketing worked. We can also be smarter about future marketing and make it more effective. So by closing that loop with us owning the ticketing part of the equation, we create a lot more value and we extract a lot more value in that whole process, which is a fancy way of saying we make more money and more profit, more importantly. So we have a plan now that elevates Evvnt from an events promotion business to what will become a true commerce engine. And so what we're doing is COVID-19 presenting us with adversity, but that also means there's opportunity. And we're looking to seize that opportunity. That'll position us for much bigger growth than we had previously imagined that was ever part of the PwC or strategy coming out there, or that we had envisioned and had built into our plan as recently as the last year or so. So we're inviting you to participate. We'll speak to particulars more as Richard walks through the strategy, but we have a unique point in time opportunity to introduce ticketing, our own proprietary ticketing platform, with an acquisition of technology IP. We right now have a non-binding letter of intent to acquire one of the leading ticketing platforms in the United States. Exciting opportunity, fits into our strategy, and really elevates us as a company and as a platform. It's all what an investor would want and looks for, especially after the years that Evvnt has been in business, to put ourselves in this position. So with that, let me turn it over to Richard. He'll walk you through the strategy, give you a great insight into the business, and then, like he said, we'll open it up to questions for you. Thank you. And Richard?
Thank you. So before we get into that presentation, I wanted to show you what our world looks like today. And I'm excited. On this call today, we have people that have invested with us from the very beginning. We even have ex-employees that are still invested in the company. And we also have current employees. And the journey has been long, but we've got to a point of real opportunity. What you're looking at here is one of the Gannett sites. Gannett owns a company, a brand called USA Today, which you might know. So our product offering is really quite simple. We go on to a site like the Courier Journal, which is one of 106 USA Today properties, part of 460 publishing properties, and we place on these sites a fully functional calendar that works not only on desktop, but moves into a tablet, but also works extremely well on mobile. 60% of these sites are using a mobile device from a consumer perspective. Within this calendar, all the regular stuff that you would need as a consumer, category search, keyword search, local and category based, featured carousel for our premium offering, we just launched maps. And also beyond this page, you also get what is a listing. And you can see that the listing sits on the domain, SEO friendly, and the pages look great both on desktop, but they also look great on a mobile device. One of the key parts of our business when we talk about transactional service, we have a button here that allows someone to supply an event to this calendar. So if you could imagine, if we have a calendar live where there's great content and great events information, if you're an event creator in the local market, you're going to go to your big brand, your local entity, and you're going to want to have your event there. Historically, doing that would put an email in an editor's inbox and it would never get there. So if you go and click on promote your event, which is available on every event listing, and we have over 3 million listings in our data set today, or if from the home page you decide to submit an event, you arrive at the beginning of a self-service workflow that is the leading event marketing service in the US. And very likely what you're seeing here is a very on-brand entry point to a sales funnel. An event creator is identified by the event category and location. We present a price to promote the event. We offer an ability to get discounts based upon bundling, because one event is usually the tip of the iceberg. If you are that regular event organizer, comedy, theater, arts, you could imagine needing that discount, but really driving subscription revenues. That's just a base revenue that we build on top of our single and bundles. But we always want to let the event creator submit for free, because that's a customer, a lead, and something that we could use potentially later to upsell in the market. If I go down, it tells you what you get for your 75 bucks. And in this instance, you would be listed, featured, you would get a premium map pin. We reverse publish to print. I can physically put, through our technology and our IP, an event into a print paper the week of the event as a service. We have integration on email. We're about to integrate with Twilio for SMS. We have social reposting. And you'll notice here, ticketing, ours or add your own. So we're still open to other ticketing services, but we have in our ad event workflow geotics as a ticketing option that's default to on when someone doesn't have ticketing. So if they are running an event that has capacity and has an entry cost, in our model, we can automate that person onto a transactional method that captures customers and registration and revenue up front. We think that's incredibly interesting. The promotion will last from the day of the submission to the day the event ends. That's pretty common sense. And lastly, and most importantly, behind this product is our 4,500, soon to be 5,500 event calendar, our syndication business that not only distributes content, but has an incredibly powerful way of indexing an event on the first page of Google between 30 and 70%. And this is the page that every event creator in every market, behind every calendar, gets to see and have that confidence. Today, across our entire calendar network, we achieve a 3 to 11% conversion to premium. The customer that buys spends around $2,800 per annum, and the retention rate on subscriptions around 86%. So really healthy numbers. If they do decide to go for free, they enter a form, which is a quick form that works on mobile with ticketing automatically created. And also we have an advanced form, which was something we built for our conference enterprise market, which is a much grittier form. But data collection is incredibly important in this space if you want to compete in terms of placement of content, but if you also want to ensure that you provide quality to the event calendars. So this is what happens on the front end. So what happens on the back end? Well, an event creator coming through a calendar, if they buy or they don't buy, we have a full management suite available in the back office. So this is the publisher, in this instance, Gannett's back office. And in the back office, you can add a new publishing site within 60 seconds and be physically live, full self-service. Once you've submitted your calendar, you can add as many as you want because that's just us putting our shop into market. Once you've added your calendar, it sits on a list, and as the calendar sits on your site, it attracts customers who submit events, who buy premium services that convert at a rate that equals transactional revenue self-service. And we also look at the revenue volume over the events volume, and we think it's interesting that events that made not $1 in the US market now make $1. And in some instances, the conversion rates in some of these markets, whilst the marketing's not quite there right now because everybody's learning, the conversion to premium and the value of an event submission is showing real promise. Beyond the calendars, once the publishers started to add them, there is a comprehensive data management system behind a content management system toolkit, allows them to see their data from API integrated sources, and they can fully manage, sort, organize, and reverse to print their data. And again, we look at each calendar as its own revenue generating machine. Even in the middle of COVID, this calendar is generating dollars, usually a lot more than that, but this is obviously a difficult time. And lastly, you'll notice in the left-hand corner something quite unusual. It's a sales CRM. So what we do that's quite unique in the market is every single event submission coming from every single calendar, we literally list. And in this particular calendar, there's over 30,000 customers who have submitted events from various calendars, but I also look at them in a different way. I'm a sales guy at heart, so I look at this as not just a published data point, but I look at it as a customer with an email and a telephone number that's engaged beyond the start date, that has event volume that's live. And I look at the capacity of the live events, the ticket price of the live events, and I value this customer because I think if I call that customer with a good marketing offering from the local paper that's affordable, we're going to sell advertising. And lastly, the secret source of our business opportunity today is you see that little ticketing icon? Every single one of these customers that are obviously in the business of events that are trying to generate ticket sales or registration sales of a substantial figure, that ticket icon tells you that we provide the ticketing, where we generate revenue on every ticket sold. So going back to Peter's point of connecting the loop, someone can now go to a local calendar, be listed, featured, syndicated in the paper for $75, for $100. We ticket them on our platform, and when advertising connects with consumers and consumers look to buy a ticket, we are transacting. We're replacing the need for Eventbrite by an organic setup of ticketing, marketing execution, and delivering of a transactional ticket to the consumer for the event creator. So this is quite unique, you could imagine. And I guess some people in the room are like, well, does it work? Yes. So prior to COVID, when we were working with Geotix as a partner, we saw customers from papers submitting events like these. And what you're seeing here is this event is ticketed. It has a price. And if you click on the ticketing link, the page that's created where the marketing points to sits to a fully transactional page that's currently owned by Geotix. And if we were to help them sell those 160 tickets, we would be accessing nearly $8,800 of revenue with a ticketing transaction in the flow. So it's very, very real, the opportunity. Beyond a business plan, we're actually at the point that it's executed. So that's just an insight into what we've built. So I'm going to just move over to the investor deck to take you through this. Just noting on the time, it's 10:23. We're planning on stopping at around 10:50 just so we have time for any Q&As from the room. So I see a lot of decks. We all see a lot of decks. And I was like, how do I do this to present this as simply as possible? I wanted it to really resonate with the team. So this was a slide that we thought represented today's problem. Event creators need a ticketing system. They don't realize the importance of it, but they need it. And then separately, once they've got their event and maybe they've got ticketing or they haven't, they then need to figure out how to promote their event. And if you look at the slide here, it's clearly showing you that event creators create events. We know that their event velocity is incredibly high, so they're starved of time and they're lacking marketing expertise and they've got limited budgets. Marketing is essential if you're going to let people know about your events. And ultimately, if you don't have ticketing in place, how are you meant to know the effectiveness of your campaign until it's too late and the event that you're running isn't quite as busy as you'd like it to be because consumers didn't connect? Our solution is almost like a domino effect. If you get a publisher at a major brand, and just to give you a big number, Town News, who we are integrated and replacing calendars, doubled traffic this month due to COVID, and currently are publishing over 1.8 billion pages of local content to local consumers because local is important. Gannett will tell you that events are the third most important data point to a local consumer. So when you place a calendar on a publishing site, like the one I showed you in the demo, you're going to, by default, capture event creators. An event creator is going to submit an event by default. If you place in their workflow one of the most effective event marketing products in the US, that's going to capture consumers. And if consumers come from the syndication, the featured, the listing, the print, the email, the SMS, if they come, ideally what you want them to do is buy a ticket, show intent. And if they buy a ticket, you complete the loop. And that is a very financially rewarding solution. So let's have a look at the market size. Well, publishers, I haven't got the number in there, but we think it's around 16,000 in the US across news media, so newspapers, radio, broadcasting, which is TV, and we also think in there's magazines, blogs, and local community sites. Creators and events come off of the back of that. That's pretty much covered in further slides, but we've always talked about, and it was via the PwC round, the marketing industry, which Event is focused on, is worth about 2 billion. Eventbrite will report in their earning documents that around 823 million at a 6.2% growth rate, that's consumers that are physically on online ticketing platforms. So the size of interest in ticketing is very high from a consumer perspective, and the ticketing fee market is over 14 billion. Event's opportunity here is to change their market cap from 2 billion to 14 billion. And through a publisher relationship, organically let creators create events, events by marketing, consumers engage and sell them tickets without really a huge amount of effort. We just have to get each step of the process well executed. And if you do that well, the 2 billion marketing should come. We know consumers engaged on online ticketing sites are growing, and we know that there's a huge opportunity in ticket fee, but it's how do you get to it? That's the challenge. How do you get to it? Where do we scale? Well, very simply, we're on track this year to get to around 6,000 publishers, which is probably about 1/3 to 2/3 of the market, depending on how important you see the long tail. But the good news is we've already got the big guys. We've got Gannett, Town News, The Geotix acquisition comes with 1,400. So we're on our way to 4,500, 5,000 in contract as of this acquisition, which is 3 weeks away. So we're already on our way to acquisition of the market around publishers. Looking at the ratio numbers of the Eventbrite business, we think that we could capture over 2 million event creators. That sounds like a lot, but just think about it. Every branded news media site across the US is going to be capturing events. The challenge is which of those events will buy advertising and which of those events have a capacity and a pre-stated price to attend so we could ticket it. But 6,000 publishers is a real opportunity this year. Behind that, 2 million event creators based on ratios from Eventbrite, 10 million to 5-to-1 ratio on a creator to an event. 10 million events exist. And we believe, based on ratios from Eventbrite, that could equate to 86 million ticket transactional sales, which is a huge step jump in this process, but very achievable based on the brands where our calendars sit. There's also a couple of stats in the bottom rail down there. The unit economics around our business today is around 24 tickets are likely to sell on a good event, and about $1.35, which is actually very much less than Eventbrite, but it's $1.35. There's room in there to increase those ticket fees, but we want to be super competitive in the local market. So there's just a few unit economics around the value of those ticket sales from this proposal. So the next question is, well, where do we make our money? We actually make a little bit of money from providing the technology to publishers, but we did that last year mainly so we had revenue to operate. It's very clear to us today, if we give away this technology to publishers, we could really take down the competitors in the market who are really battling with our presence at the current time. But our revenue opportunity, just to point that 2 billion versus 14 billion, the marketing side of our business has money, but consumer transaction of ticket purchasing, where we could deliver it like a boarding card to an aeroplane, we could deliver a ticket via mobile, that, for me, is where the opportunity is. And to pause, just to think about that, that opportunity is something Evvnt has never dreamt of getting to. In fact, we always imagined that we would bow down and give people like Eventbrite and Evvnt, Ticketmaster, we would give them access to our platform to sell more tickets as a partnership. You could imagine if we owned the publishing network, could capture event creators for free. They're just organically coming through. And if we provide them with a best-in-class marketing product that's pre-created a ticket, we could actually compete head-to-head with the likes of Eventbrite. And I believe that today. So what is the strategy? It's a simple execution. And going back to Peter's point, we're already executing point perfect to the PwC plan. And that was to come to the States, focus exclusively on building a platform that got publishers excited about accessing a $16 billion market where they make not a dollar today. And we today are building the broadest network, has the most coverage, is the least expensive in terms of route to market, and we're building large scale market access. That's really, if you don't have that, you're just trying to compete with lacking of funds and lacking of really market access. Event creators. We have the largest market to attract event creators, branded channels that are attractive to local, hyper-local venues and event creators. And it's inexpensive customer acquisition. They just come. We've just got to do a really good job of showing them what they can have as they go through the process of event submission. We really do have an opportunity to acquire a ticketing company. Geotix not only is a company that I met, I spent a lot of time with the management team. I spent time with the CTO. and the engineers. And we did an integration between our two companies when we were pre-COVID that really showed the opportunity to us. But due to COVID, in the ticketing industry, it was very painful. If you look at Eventbrite, they've lost a huge amount of their team and they're really struggling. And ticketing companies are struggling. So this wasn't like, let's just go and find a company to acquire. This was, wait a minute, here's a team. We don't have a CTO. We don't have in-house engineers in the United States of America. We don't have this size of team. And we don't have a transactional engine in our business that would increase the valuation dramatically. And we already have a relationship that works. This team understands the importance of publishing because they built a 1,400 network. It just wasn't on the brands that we have under contract. This team understands ticketing. Our team don't. So you bring these two companies together through a ticketing acquisition. Evvnt as an organization becomes incredibly more stronger, the potential's bigger here. A revenue engine transaction at scale directly with consumers. We're now able to put Evvnt as a brand that's always been powered by. We could actually put Evvnt on a phone as a mobile application where a ticket is delivered. An Evvnt could become a consumer brand for not only tickets, but also consumer search for events. That valuation is beyond anything I've showed you before on the PwC round. The world changes. We become a ticketed event marketing solution. We ticket, list, feature, syndicate, map pin, print, email, social, SMS, voice. We've got radio deals right now here in Florida. We can do end-to-end. Eventbrite is a $1.6 billion company. They can't do this. So from a strategic perspective, super interesting. We're on 10:36. I'm just going to move a little bit faster. In terms of network and customers, so you'll see here, this slide just gives you a bit of grit, a bit of meat on the bones around what we're doing. On the left-hand side at the top, you'll see publishers. There is 800 publishers in the system today. The contract with Town News adds another 1,100. That contract was signed 3 months ago. Gannett signed on Friday, 2 weeks ago, includes the USA Today brand. And you should recognize some of the brands below here. Hearst, Trib, APG's Adams, one of the big guys out here. Town News is very big. USA Today, you should know. Geotix comes with over 1,500 published sites. You'll see radio. We already work with Southern Stone. We have Greg Pretko on the call today, who is the MD of that channel. And we think there's a lot more radio sites to go after. We just haven't focused on it. And then you've got broadcasting. And to be very clear, every single publisher on that row did not make $1 before we introduced platform. And now they make dollars and the market's big. So the publisher piece, if you kind of get as far as local ticketing and radio, we're there right now. This is not a story of we could do this. We're already 80% into the game. If you look at the below screen, it just really shows you a little bit more around the event creator journey, which we don't cover so much in this deck, but the event creator gets multi-channel event marketing, ticketed multi-channel event marketing. This year we increased our syndication because we signed more publishers. This year we integrated into Site Impact for opt-in email. You can send an email out from our system self-service and spend around $25,000 per event instantly if you want to. We created social this year. We've been fully integrated into print and I can control and deliver print-ready pages for the newspaper. Ticketing is on the table today as an ownership piece, but it is fully integrated. What I showed you earlier was live tech built with Geotix. And you'll see radio and social paid ads. They're not bold because they're coming. Greg on the call today has clearly modeled out to me how we could get a paid ad to him and he could get it put out over the radio in Florida. So there's some really interesting things to do here as well around radio, social paid ads. Some of the brands here are customers that we've been working with for many years, if not more recently, Palo Alto Networks. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a big block that you've never seen before. I really love the way I get my boarding pass for an aeroplane. and I believe that we could really deliver tickets via a mobile app that's actually already built in the GeoTix technology. It just needs a little bit of, it needs a lick of paint and some consumer experience there, but that mobile technology at vast expense is built. We just need to make it a little bit better. And that mobile white label offering could sit behind every single publisher that's providing event discovery, ticket purchase, and transactional sale. It could literally be the consumer touch point for USA Today's ticket delivery. There's 6 principal channels here that we are executing on effectively, and I believe we can get to 2/3 of the US publishing market, leaving only the long tail to get to from there. And I believe those will come. You get the big guys, those will come. Ticketing and acquisition. So what is this about? Well, GeoTix is the company that we've fully integrated into. We have a letter of intent. The deal is laid out, and we can close on that deal if we can get the consent of our investors to do so. It requires us to look more like a US company than a UK limited company, which is where all of our, it's almost like all of our assets and all of our branding sits on a UK limited company, but all of our opportunity is really here in the US under Inc. And I think if we want to compete with Eventbrite in the US, where the CEO is based, where the staff is based, where the technology is based, where the investment is based, when I pull out Event Limited, it isn't really very well received. Event Inc. is really what they're wanting to see from a US company. And with that statement, we're going to be in a position to attract investment, acquire a ticketing company, and fulfill the potential of Event. Ticketed events marketing. I think you've really seen this already, but that's just a revisit. So we weren't going to do the demo today. We didn't want it to be too distracting, but this slide just reiterates the product. Someone can submit a listing and without any technical skill and a credit card access one of the best multi-channel event marketing offerings in the market, and they can have us auto-create ticketing to do something incredible, which will be to capture customer information and transactional revenue for the event that they're running sometimes in the future. That is our unique business proposition in the US. That's our product. I wanted to also show you a little bit around the traction. This is a merged slide of our traction and GeoTix traction. And GeoTix, you might be saying to yourself, well, why are these guys not getting out there on their own? Unfortunately, their business model was driven by publisher growth, and we have that. And that's the reason why when you put these two companies together, it's dynamite. But you'll see here, our current traction is around 2,000 network partners under contract, but we can get to 6. All of our partners are paying something because we just came into the market requiring cash flow, but that could really accelerate if you brought that blocker down, lean more into the revenue upside of ad revenue and ticket transactions. Paying event creators in total there, 4,000. You could see the jump that we're trying to get to in terms of that 2 million over the course of this business journey. Ticketing customers, that's coming from GeoTix, and monthly tickets sold. This is not a blank company. This is a company that comes with event creators, comes with ticket transactions, comes with revenue, also comes with a network of publishers, with publishers that we want to onboard. The growth, I think, is interesting. Our partner network, 218 to 219, doubled, but you can see already we're moving much quicker in terms of our current numbers because this year's been transformative. Paying partners, we really turned up the volume in saying, look, this is not for free when we first launched it with Time Out in the Middle East. This is now a product that we believe in that's just awesome and it's worth something. And we could still push that model through in the early stages, but again, there's that question of market ownership on the consumer side. And again, you can see there's just great stories here. Ticket fee growth up on GeoTix, ticket event growth up. Imagine adding their numbers where they were struggling to get to market on our platform where we're at market. You could imagine the jump's quite dramatic. And I think if you look at the network reach, that 300 million is pre-town news, which I mentioned has just phenomenal traffic, and the access potentially to these publishers' networks of Facebook and Twitter could also be a value add in what we provide to event creators. You could potentially promote an event and have your event pushed out through the newspaper's Twitter account or Facebook account or Instagram account. You could imagine that's quite a valuable thing we could offer in partnership with a publisher as the revenue starts to increase and as ticket conversion starts to drive revenue. And that's where we are today. And we've got more, we've got more growth here to take. Usually I would now talk to you about a competitor slide where I talk about the publishing industry that's worth about 16 million. That's changed. My direct market focus now is how do we compete with Eventbrite, and why are event creators spending money with Facebook to promote their events in a closed network? The honest answer is there's nowhere else to go. So the turnover from Facebook's probably a bit disingenuous, because actually what we're trying to get to is what's the money being spent at Facebook on event marketing? We think that's probably shy of $1 billion, but that's still a big opportunity. If you buy into what I'm presenting to you today, Eventbrite, who acquired 3 companies last year for big events, because that's where they sell lots of tickets, is currently on fire. Events are now small. They are one day, not many days. They're local, not national. Eventbrite's market strategy for growth is on fire. Our market strategy on growth is point perfect for post-COVID.